When the troops from Charlie Company arrived in Vietnam in December 1967, they instantly bonded with the locals. The first few weeks featured more socializing than any actual fighting. This was not the war they were expecting, and it was great. But all that would change over the next few months. Unlike in the First and Second World Wars, this conflict did not feature large, heavily armed battalions fighting other large, heavily armed battalions. This was more akin to battalions fighting ghosts. The infamous Viet Cong, who were South Vietnamese fighters allied to the Army of North Vietnam, blended in with the populace and moved silently through the jungle. They pragmatically employed guerrilla tactics which drove the Americans crazy. A booby trap here, a sniper attack there, and when the Americans responded by peppering the surrounding jungle with machine gun fire, they often hit nothing. The American soldiers were mad, and somebody was going to pay for their losses. Which brings us to Pinkville. This was a region in the Quang Ngai province of southeast Vietnam, so named by the Yanks because it was colored in pink on all of their military maps. January 1968 saw an escalation by the Communist forces against the South Vietnamese and their US allies. The Tet Offensive, a sneak attack launched during Lunar New Year celebrations, saw over 100 towns attacked in the south. The man in charge of Charlie Company was Captain Ernest Medina. He had a reputation amongst the soldiers for being extremely tough, but fair. On the 16th of March, he was ordered by his superiors to march his troops into the Pinkville area and wipe out the enemy. Medina informed his troops that this was their chance to take revenge. The enemy, which had eluded them over the last few months, had now been found. After several hours of aerial bombing to clear the area for the helicopters to land, Charlie Company entered the town of Son My. Unbeknownst to the Americans at this stage, the intelligence reports were wrong. The platoon's commanding officer, 2nd Lieutenant William Calley, led the attack on the small hamlet of My Lai. And even though they encountered no resistance, the soldiers annihilated everything in sight. By 11 a.m., a staggering 504 Vietnamese civilians had been murdered. Although they faced much internal opposition, 3 Americans blew the whistle on what happened at My Lai and would later be rewarded for their courage. Helicopter crewman Lawrence Colburn and Glenn Andreatta each received the Bronze Star, whilst the pilot, Warrant Officer Hugh Thompson, was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross and later a Purple Heart. The massacre was originally covered up by the military, but later became public knowledge, and a trial ensued. Thompson testified at the war crimes trial in 1970, which saw 26 American servicemen charged with war crimes. In the end, only William Calley was convicted. He was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of 22 people. He would end up only serving 3 years of house arrest, thanks to the intervention of President Nixon. William Calley kept a very low profile for the rest of his life, which ended in 2024 at the age of 80. He did apologize for his actions in My Lai. Hugh Thompson was ostracized by the military, the government, and sections of the American public for the rest of his life. He suffered from chronic PTSD and died from cancer in 2006 at the age of 62. He was buried with full military honors and was praised on Capitol Hill by Republican Congressman Charles Boustany.